Hi, everybody. We have a special treat today, and we're going to kind of combine a whole bunch of things that I've been talking about over the last couple weeks and hopefully piece things together so that it makes more sense to you and have the help here of Heather Hiniker, who is just a light in my life. And I'm so excited to share her with you. The last couple weeks, we've been talking about reverse aging and mitochondria health. And on a side note, last week I put out our Zoom from Monday that was so important, and I don't care the people in your family and your friends that aren't eating right and aren't exercising and aren't doing all these things and may or may not have gotten the jab. Everybody needs to hear what I talked about last week and the importance of the Acceleradine. And that is because, to start this out, because what we're also going to get into on the patches is how to reverse the damage of the radiation that we're being exposed to. We've got Chernobyl that is at risk. We've got leaking radiation throughout the globe that no one's talking about. So we're all already under attack with radiation at the nuclear level. We are getting radiation from the Zoom, from our cell phones, from the smart meters, from the 5G towers that are on every corner now. We are needing to protect ourselves. And when you talk about anti-aging or reverse aging, you need to address toxicity. You need to address oxidative damage and blood sugar. All of these things we are going to address today. And what it comes down to is mitochondrial health. But before we get into some of those details, the Acceleradine is the only iodine and the only supplement that has been shown to reverse the damage to the DNA from the mRNA. Okay. And with the help of the Nucnomore, that is going to zero you out of radiation and really give you that protection ongoing. And then we're going to get into the X49, how that is also going to work synergistically with that protection. But radiation is what is killing us. It is scrambling your DNA. Try to think of your brain at a certain frequency, and then all of this radiation is way above it. And so your brain is trying to adjust to get on the same frequency as all of these other frequencies that are damaging our body. And it just can't. And that's why people are not sleeping, why we're anxious, why there's suicide, why the blood sugar is skyrocketing without eating a morsel of chocolate. Who wants that? That's not even fun. Just everybody is suffering from that anxiety. And also, it is known to cause cancer. It's not a risk. It is known. It is 100% risk that radiation will lead to cancer. So the chronic disease patterns are just going to get worse and worse and worse if you don't do something about it. But I've always believed that fear goes out the window, because with every problem we have in this world, God will give us a solution. People like David Schmidt is going to come up with things, and he's already way ahead of us with new technologies that we don't even know about. And that's what I'm so excited about. And we can get into that a little bit here today. But again, the Acceleradine is something that everyone should be on, because it is actually known to absorb 3,000 times more radiation than normal human tissue. So it is giving you that overall protection so that that radiation can't come in and do its damage. So it's going to do that process called apoptosis, which is healthy dying of diseased cells. Okay. But it's going to reverse that damage that's already done to the DNA from the mRNA, the graphene oxide, the spike proteins. But then it's also going to protect any further radiation from doing damage to new DNA. And that Nucnomore is zeroing you out of all non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. We are at huge risk with what's going on in the world right now. So before we get into it, I wanted to make sure everyone knows that that is really the only thing that I have found supplement-wise to reverse the damage. The accelerated silver is boosting your immune system and is helping the process, but the Acceleradine Nucnomore combination is really reversing that damage. And the accelerated ancient salt goes in and rehydrates the cells with the proper minerals and actually kicks out more radiation. So when we're talking about reverse aging, so now let's get back to the fun stuff, because we need to get rid of the radiation out of our bodies. We need to lower our blood sugar. We need to lower oxidative stress and get rid of toxicity. And all of those things cause damage to the mitochondria. The mitochondria holds, that is the brain of the cell, okay? The power plant, that is your town hall. What's inside the mitochondria is ATP. Your ATP are your soldiers, okay? So the army is the mitochondria, and the ATP is each soldier. What we're going to be talking about today is not only increasing your amount of soldiers in your army, but strengthening that ATP as well. And those things will include the patches that we're going to get into. It includes the accelerated keto, which with a low carb diet and being in ketosis, you're kicking up your ATP production by at least 5 times, not 5%, 5 times. With the Acceleradine, you're increasing your ATP production by 18 times. So normal cells have 2 ATP per mitochondria. And with the Acceleradine, that increases it to 36. And then with the hydration, your cells need that hydration from water and electrolytes to increase its production of the ATP and that cellular health. So now we're going to get to all of the patches, but Heather, I wanted to start out with the ones that really get into increasing ATP production and mitochondria, because we want to anti-age. I am not looking to live to just 150. I want to live to 150 and feel like I'm 20 at that age. And then you can just kill me right there so that I don't have to age and go through the hard part of aging. So why don't we start with the X39 patch and give a background. I know this is the first one everyone starts with. This is the first one you introduced me to. And I noticed immediately my sleep was better. Sleep, of course, affects our mitochondrial health and our reverse aging. But why don't you get into the X39?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if we need to mute a couple people just so there's no background noise, but so before we even started this call, Sarah and I agreed that, we want to keep this like fun, layman's terms. I don't want to sit here and read from my notepad of notes that I have. So it's just going to be, more just us talking and what we've found. So I've been using X39 for 18 months. Okay. So basically the X39 is a stem cell patch is what we call it. But what it's actually doing is it's increasing a peptide that we naturally make called GHK-copper peptide. And GHK-copper peptide, with a lot of things with age, right, tends to decline. So when we are babies, that's when our cells are at their most optimal. That's where our stem cell production is at its most optimal as well. And that's how babies are growing, and they're, building their systems, and everything's changing so fast because their stem cell production is so optimal. And then by the time we're a teenager, that's going to drop. By the time we're in our 20s, it drops, 30s, it drops, 40s, it drops. So I'm in my 40s, I probably have about 40% of what I did when I was a baby. So I've lost about 60%. By the time we're in our 60s, they say we don't have any stem cell production. So what these stem cell patches do is they actually activate the GHK copper peptide, which helps activate dormant stem cells. And then it also makes more pluripotent stem cells. So there's all different kinds of stem cells, but the pluripotent ones are the ones that are able to turn into any cell that our body needs. So when I was first introduced to these, I was like, great, at this point, I've had my regeneration center for about a decade, and I walk the walk. I do a lot of technologies. I have a pretty healthy lifestyle, no aches or pains, thank God, because I came from chronic pain and an autoimmune diagnosis that was supposed to basically affect me for the rest of my life. And so when these patches came across my plate, I was like, okay, what are these going to do? And it takes a lot for me to actually feel something. So Yvette, who introduced me to the patches, I gave her 90 days. I said, for sure, I can try these for 90 days and see what happens. And you have to understand, like, I quantify everything. So like I have my Aura ring that helps me quantify my sleep. It tells me where my deep sleep is and my REM sleep, my light sleep. When I wake up in the middle of the night, it'll tell me where my heart rate variability is, which is a huge indicator of recovery. It tells me where my resting heart rate is. So I'm constantly looking at these markers. And with the patches at first, I didn't notice much. I mean, maybe my sleep was a little bit better. I think I was getting a little bit more deep sleep, probably like 30 minutes more a night, which is significant. I might have felt a little shift in energy, but for overall, you guys, I feel really good. And so I kept going, the first month, it's like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. Well, about 45 days in, I noticed a whole new set of like hair growth. So for me, I think a lot of the things that I had been working on the inside were kind of rectifying themselves, but it came out as hair and my skin started to change. So, fast forward to the 90 days, my hair basically doubled in growth. And then I had all these new little hairs, and I really noticed a huge difference in my skin and everything too. So it kept me using it. I also, and I know we've talked about this a lot, I have a bioimpedance analyzer that actually lets me see the integrity of my cells, like all the cell walls. So we have these trillions of cells. And then as Sarah was saying, within our cells, there's mitochondria. There could be hundreds of mitochondria in one cell. There could be thousands of mitochondria in one cell. The mitochondria are producing our energy, but also very important is the permeability of that cell wall. And when we age, our cells become smaller and the walls around them become less permeable. So they become more hardened and rigid. So now the toxins and the waste tend to start compiling. Your cells kind of start sticking together. And so what I noticed with the bioimpedance analyzer is that you have that measurement. So when we're babies, that measurement is probably at its highest. It's, probably in the 8s, 9s, 10s. And then again, with age, it starts to decline. And so women, 20 and on usually average between a 4 and a 6. And so what I've noticed over these 18 months is not only am I maintaining my phase angle, which is a high for a female, 6.3, it's also going up little ticks, every 3 months or every 6 months. So that is true age reversal on a cellular level. And that's what I'm seeing with these. And then a lot of times people think, I can't really feel X39 unless they have something chronic or, an acute pain. Because for the most part, people who are in pain feel immediate difference in reduction of pain with the X39. But like, heart disease, dementia runs in my family. How do I know that that's not turning into a brain cell or heart cell? Based on the science, I know that it is. And so preventatively and for the reverse aging, I know that these are doing so much. And those X39 stem cell patches, they're touching on a lot of the other peptides and other mechanisms that some of the other patches are doing. But when you add some of the other patches throughout the day, that's when you're getting a huge uptick. And we can go into whatever one you want next. I'm probably assuming it's going to be energy enhancer, Sarah, since that's our favorite.
We can touch on that. It's funny you say it's my favorite because I love them all. And this, rough weekend, we had a lot going on. I had my son come in from town, which a lot of fun and a lot of commotion. Without fail, my sleep is at 95% on my Aura ring every single night. And I'm sitting here going, how am I getting such consistent sleep, even with it losing an hour last night? It was at 95%, and that is because all of these patches working together. And I wanted to touch real quick on the X39 patch. So as you guys know, I use my Genius Insight app that is scanning my body on a daily basis and telling me what is out of balance or what it's needing more of, or something that's at the forefront of what's going on in my body. It comes up with copper a lot of times. I have actually put in the patches in here so I can tell what patches my body is really using and needing at the time, which is super fun. And it's also helping me show where my mitochondria health is. It will tell me when I'm triggering autophagy, which is something that some of these patches also are going to enhance. And autophagy is the recycling of damaged and diseased cells as well. That's something that you get as a benefit of intermittent fasting and eating a low carb diet, the accelerated keto, and these patches then take that autophagy and shoot it to the moon. Yes, so let's go into energy enhancer, because this one is one where I have to be an on it mom. I've got 3 teenagers. I've owned my own business. I also have to be a wife, and my husband doesn't let me forget that. I try to put on an organic meal every single night, 7 nights a week. He doesn't like takeout, and I do it and I enjoy it. And so I've got to be on, and I can't really skip a beat. I'm not allowed to get sick. The energy enhancer, within 20 minutes, I put them on. I'm not even drinking coffee anymore, Heather. I haven't even told you that. I've been off coffee for 3.5 weeks, and my energy for my workouts in the morning has not skipped a beat. So I put these on within 20 minutes. I'm ready to go, and I'm pushing myself stronger than I was in my 20s. And that energy at 2 in the afternoon is still stable and still great. I like to wear them here. I also like to wear them down on the kidney meridian right below my ankles. I find that they help with edema, which is something that I've suffered with, water retention, circulation. Digestion has always been one of my Achilles heels, and it helps with that. It helps with the chi, or your life force, as they talk about in Chinese medicine, and just that flow of energy. And you can feel the energy throughout your body. It's not the same as caffeine from your Monster drink or your coffee. It's at that true cellular energy level of ATP. It's increasing that ATP production. So there you go, Heather. Tell me about energy enhancer. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. So I have mine on right here and here. So I don't think I've told you this actually. So this is going to be a good conversation. So when X49 came out, which is the newest patch, I actually stopped all other patches between X39 and X49 during the day. So I wasn't wearing my energy enhancers. I wasn't wearing my carnosine or my glutathione. I was strictly just wearing those two, because I wanted to get a true sense of what the X49 was doing. Okay, so I noticed some great things with X49 by itself the first week, and then after the 60 days, I really could tell that I was missing my other patches. The energy enhancer specifically, especially with working out the way I've started to work out 4 to 5 times a week, and that extra calorie burn of 300 calories and not being overstimulated. So I am very, very sensitive to, I don't drink coffee. I never have. I'm actually too sensitive to coffee and anything that's a stimulant like that. And the energy enhancer patches, they give me this energy of, it's just like this nice, constant, like you were talking about, just energy where you're firing on all cylinders. You're not jittery, you're not overzealous, and I really, really miss that, the 60 days that I wasn't using it. And I can tell you, since I've been using it again, like I feel a huge shift. So I really, and you're the same way. Like, I know a lot of there's a lot of products that are expensive, and, you know, as we're adding more patches and more patches, that becomes a cost. So I really take it, you know, to heart, and as my obligation to make sure we're not overusing things. Like, I don't want to add too many things and overwhelm people. And if we can get away with just doing certain things, then we're going to share that with you, because I genuinely want it to be the most efficacious and most effective, but I don't want to overdo it. So within that 60 days, I noticed that I was really missing some of these other patches. So fast forward, we did kind of a challenge. Can I talk about this right now, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we did the X49 challenge, and, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, I was not overly impressed with my results, and I think it's because I stopped all of the other patches. I also was having something go on with my immune system where I've had a history of having walking pneumonia. I had it when I was in high school, and then I had it when I was in my 30s, and it actually ended up in the hospital. I'm now 45. I didn't have it as severe as I ever have. Obviously, I didn't end up in the hospital, but I had the fatigue associated with it for about 3 weeks, and I didn't even realize what was going on until it was a little too late, and I had pushed myself so much. So I have to give the X49 the benefit of the doubt of that, because that was going on within that time when I retested myself. So I want to put that out there. But what I've been doing, just to kind of play around with things, because when we first started to use the X49, I had told you guys after a week I tested just to see if there was a shift, and there was like a huge shift for me as far as gaining muscle mass, losing fat, only in a week. And so what I'm doing now is I'm actually alternating weeks. So I am doing, like, this is my week off of X49, but I'm doing my energy enhancer every single day. I'm doing carnosine every single day. And then I'm doing the glutathione on my liver meridian. And then next week, and of course, like, it goes without saying, X39 is every day, no matter what, without fail. So when I'm talking about what patches I use on a daily basis, just know that I always have my X39 right here every single day. And then next week I'll do my X39, X49, but I'm continuing to do the energy enhancer every day with it. I'm just not doing my glutathione or carnosine every day with it. And I'm just going to experiment. I can tell you, last week when I did that, I gained 2 pounds of muscle and lost 1 pound of fat in 1 week on the InBody. And so I'm really a huge believer in adaptation. So if we're doing the same thing every single day, whether it's an arm workout and we're just doing the same thing with the same weight, we're going to plateau and nothing's going to change. Well, I feel that with a lot of these frequency-based technologies as well, from what I see. And so all of our technologies that we have in-house, we're constantly changing and you know, flipping things on clients so they don't get used to it. Well, that's what I'm going to start doing with the patches. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated on that, because the X49, you know, we can touch on that, and you're way more well-versed than I am on it, because you've had David on explaining what it is. But just the fact that it does start protecting against these, you know, EMFs and 5G and everything. It's something that's so important. And, you know, I don't necessarily see a difference in energy with it, but, you know, the jury's still out. You know, I've only been doing it for about not even 90 days total. So we're just going to have to see with that. But I can tell you, just last week, it was insane when I reintroduced it, and then where I feel now. The other thing is just when we're quantifying things, like with the InBody analysis, and we're seeing what our phase angle is, I'm actually taking things to the next step, and I'm doing a blood test on biological age, and it's going to look at, like, the way the body processes certain things. It's called glycogen. They're like AGs is what it is, and basically, I need to know more about it before we bring it into our platform. But I was telling my husband, you know, I feel better than I did when I was in my 30s, because in my 30s, that's when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And the first part of my 30s was pretty rough. I feel better than I felt like when I was in my 20s. And that's probably where I felt the best in my entire life, because even as a teenager, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, Epstein-Barr syndrome. So I kind of struggled from like 13 to 17. I can tell you, I feel better today than I've ever felt in my entire life. And so as soon as I get those results back, I'll be sharing it, because I wouldn't be surprised if I was at least 10 to 15 years younger on a biological age because of everything that we do in these patches. So I'm excited for that. I want you to do it with me, Sarah.
I'm ready to do it, and I have another way of doing my biological versus chronological age with a skio machine that I've been using for years and years, and I am younger. I factually have decreased my age. I don't know what it is right now, so it'd be interesting to match that test and those results with yours. But back to the energy enhancer. The energy enhancer is reversing aging and by, like I said, increasing that ATP production and burning fat. It goes after the fat, where the X39 stem cell is literally having your body act as if it's its younger version of itself, and increasing metabolic rate and metabolic, reversing all of these metabolic diseases. All of these metabolic diseases of the 2000s are diseases our ancestors never had. Diabetes, cancer, they did not exist. It is caused by the toxicity and the diet and the food we are all being exposed to. So you're getting solutions to combat these diseases from different angles, from the X39, from the energy enhancer, and that's reversing age. But what I wanted to mention with the X49 is within week 1, I was lifting heavier, hands down. That was quantifiable very quickly, and definitely saw a lot of difference in my arm strength, the amount of push-ups I was doing, the amount of bicep curls I could do, and the weights I was doing. Even my numbers on the rowing machine that my kids make fun of me because they're elite athletes and I'm trying to pretend I still am. And it's a running joke in our house, but I'm doing better on the rowing machine that I have been doing. But I have the energy to do that and then do life. And that's what's so exciting, is that I do it without soreness. I don't have soreness. I don't have pain. I also was starting to feel some brain fog come in. I don't know if it was because of COVID, because of the jab shedding that I was exposed to, but that's going away. One thing that I've been doing, and I'll get into it more with the glutathione and carnosine patches, I've been doing them here at nighttime. But back to the X49, I actually have put on muscle and feel better. And my phase angle increased a little bit. I want to do another test to really see where it's at. My stamina is better and just feel better overall. But as I started out with the risk of radiation and how radiation is killing us, and it is accelerating aging, and literally, unfortunately, I believe that a lot of our loved ones that have lost their lives in the last 2 years is from the increase in radiation. And it's synergy, negative synergy with the jab and with the increased 5G, with the increased exposure to radiation. So any protection to radiation should be on everybody's the forefront of your minds. And X49, essentially the way David explains it, is it's a Faraday cage. So you can go to websites and get like a Faraday package for your cell phone to put it in, right? To protect it from any of the radiation to getting to you. The reality for me is, how am I supposed to take my cell phone out every time I want to use it? And yes, it protects you, but it's not user friendly. So if I'm able to protect me and put like a bubble around me in protection for 24/7, how amazing is that? And then you put that in conjunction with all the other things we talked about, the Acceleradine, the Nucnomore, the detox powder that soaks up all the heavy metals in the radiation and takes them out of our body. And we improve our liver health with a liver cleanse, because your liver is processing all this toxicity. And then let's talk about the thyroid. And this is really important, because you look up any writing or article about mitochondrial health and metabolism and cellular health, you have to look at the thyroid. The thyroid is the master endocrine gland, Everything is controlled with this thyroid. It's not only just controlling your metabolism and how many calories you can eat, and wow, I can't get away with what I got away with in my 20s when I put it on my plate, but with the thyroid, it's also increasing that ATP production. It's asking your liver to convert T4 to T3, which is the inactive to the active thyroid hormone. That 4 and 3 represent the number of molecules of iodine. So that's where the Acceleradine comes in. But that thyroid health, this is what I've been doing. I go to sleep with the glutathione on my right side and the carnosine on my left. Carnosine is very good for brain protection, and Heather can get into that in a second. But then in the morning, and I went back and forth with David Schmidt on this. And I said, David, I'm putting the glutathione right on my thyroid in the morning for like 3 or 4 hours. Am I going to walk around in public with it right there? Probably not, unless it's around people I don't, who know what I'm doing. But when you're detoxing with the power of the detox of glutathione on your thyroid, because your thyroid is a sponge for all that radiation, and from fluoride, chlorine, bromide, all those toxins that look like iodine on that chemistry panel that you learned in high school, those all will clog the iodine receptor sites if you don't have enough iodine in your body. So by putting more iodine in my body to make sure we're kicking out any of those toxins and any radiation, but then playing around with putting the glutathione right here, I can feel my thyroid and my metabolism shoot up within 10 minutes. It is the most amazing thing. Now, do I recommend sleeping with glutathione on your head if you have a lot of toxicity? No, you might get a headache because there's so much that's going to be relieved. But I do my liver flush 4 times a year. I've been doing a lot of this stuff for years, so I feel like I've not had any headaches from that. But if you do get a headache from doing glutathione at night, make sure you just wear it during the day. And you probably don't want to wear it in your face in public unless you're just at home. So I put it on my liver meridian, which is down on my right foot in between the big and second toe at the base of that webbing. That's where I move it around. But I'd love your feedback. David said yes, it works when you put it right on the thyroid. So that was great to get his feedback on that one. But why don't we get into glutathione? How it's the master antioxidant. It is so important for immune boosting, especially right now. And Heather, you want to go on?
Yeah, that's one that I wear probably like 5 times a week, and I actually put it on my liver meridian. But like right now, as far as immune, it's so important. What it's going to do, glutathione, your natural glutathione production by 300%. So if you have a healthy immune system, we don't need to fear certain things like that are going around right now, no matter what variant comes up, of what virus comes up. Just having a strong immune system is so important, and it works quickly with your lymphatic and just protect you. About carnosine is we'll wear those together, and what the carnosine is doing in conjunction, it's raising the bioelectrical properties of organs, and organs, it's actually a newly found in the brain, the heart, and skeletal muscle, but it also has a really important benefit of the skin, which is our largest organ. And that is the one that when people are when they're using that, the increase in muscle mass as well. That's why I've been using it personally. And with what we're all exposed to as far as the toxins go, we have been seeing a lot of people come in with unexplained issues. There would be just
I think we're losing you a little, Heather.
It popped up out of nowhere. We're not getting any specific diagnosis.
Okay, we're having a hard time hearing you, your connection. Maybe if you want to come back in and out. I don't know if you can hear me.
You guys hear?
You're frozen. Why don't you jump off and then come back in, and I'll just touch on the carnosine and the glutathione. Real quick, I was putting them here because I am trying to preserve my eyesight as I'm 46. And then the other place that I like to put both of them are behind my ears, because I'm also suffer from hard of hearing, and it's something that my mom suffers from as well. So I'm trying to prevent that. My siblings are also seeing a big difference in their hearing. So those are the places that I like to play around with them. When Heather mentioned earlier about being very sensitive to budget, and not everyone has the money to do all of these things. The carnosine patch is one of those patches that David says if you're doing X49, it is probably doing enough to get you off of the carnosine. So I'm playing around with doing them both still. But Heather, you're back, so we can see you and you're not frozen. Can you hear us okay?
Okay, good. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
You're frozen again.
Hopefully you can hear me.
I kind of, it's going in and out, and you're frozen on the video. You want to try talking again? Oh, there, we can hear you. Okay, go ahead.
You can.
You're in and out. Well, I'll continue, and if you get unfrozen.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's not very stable, and so you're going in and out, and I want to make sure people can hear you 100%. The other things that I mentioned as far as importance for that cellular health mechanism is, as I mentioned, the thyroid. And I'm super excited. Within 2 months, pray, because supply chain issues have put this on back, delayed it significantly. But we have the accelerated thyroid coming out, and that is going to help increase your thyroid metabolism, get people off their thyroid medication in a much healthier way. It's a combination essentially of the thyroid GF and the Conchinara Google that are currently on acceleratedhealthproducts.com. And those two are a great combination to detox the thyroid and give the thyroid what it needs, in addition to the Acceleradine for people with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism. The other thing that is very needed for everybody, and I will be carrying the one that I recommend, and we've gone back and forth on this in the group chat, is the magnesium. And I'm doing the BioOptimizer magnesium, which is a whole bunch of different magnesiums for different parts of the body that are very specific for the mechanisms that are in your body. Magnesium has over 3,000 jobs in the body, and we are all depleted. Every single one of us, whether you don't do anything or you're running a marathon and getting into a sauna. So it's really important. It is a cofactor to catalyze and enhance the biochemical reactions in the body. So as far as the other stem cells that we didn't touch on, the Eon, this is one that reduces inflammation, and it's the happy patch. This is why I'm sleeping. I truly believe the combination of the Eon and the Alavita. It's anti-inflammatory. It takes you out of that sympathetic into the parasympathetic mode, where you're not. Yes, you might be stressed, but you're dealing with it in a much better, happier way, and it's not affecting you. When you're stressed and in that sympathetic dominant state, your body is producing a ton of cortisol out of the adrenals. That cortisol is kicking up your blood sugar. So without eating that cake and cookies, you are suffering from weight gain and adrenal fatigue just from that cortisol. That's not fair. That's not fun. None of us want that. So with the Eon, you are getting that switch into the parasympathetic mode. You're able to deal with your stress in a much happier, healthier way. It balances the brain, calms you down. It elevates DHEA, which is extremely important. And it helps regulate your heart rate, your blood pressure, digestion. All of us know that we can't digest food if we're stressed out. That's the body's survival mechanism. If you're worried about running from the tiger for survival, your body is not going to allow you to sit down for a big meal to get tired and relax. Of course not. So it is a survival mechanism to shut off digestion when you're stressed out. Well, this is actually helping with digestion and respiration as well. Respiration is something that the Oura Ring tests, because respiration is very important to the health of the body, and the Eon patch helps with that. We have just a few more minutes, so I want to just make sure I touch on Alavita. This is a skin and body regenerating system, and it helps me sleep, helps with my skin, and helps with my hair. It increases organ function, reduces oxidative stress, which is one of those things that we discussed that is causing accelerated aging, and increases antioxidants. And it stimulates that pineal gland. So I put it on my forehead at night and I sleep with it there. Your pineal gland is your connection to your higher self, to God, to the universe, whatever your belief system is. And the Acceleradine is also decreasing that brain fog, opening the pineal gland, increasing ATP production throughout the brain and the body. So imagine the Acceleradine lowering the sugar and the carb intake, accelerated keto, reducing the inflammation throughout the body and the skin, and then putting Alavita on. You literally feel like you are on a new frequency. And I talk at Accelerated Health Products about increasing your frequency. That is my tagline. That is what I am pushing for all of us to do through sleep, exercise, lifestyle, diet, patches, protocols, machines, and all of the supplements we're talking about. And Alavita is one of those that really just increases your frequency. So this is just a big, broad basis. I want to have Heather on again, especially when we can go deeper into each one of the patches, also get into some of her technologies, some of the other things that we found out together. I love it because we go back and forth on what works, what doesn't, what we're finding out. And right now, the world is changing their focus from a virus to now war, and who knows what the next thing is. And I just heard on the news that the new variant is a marriage between Delta and Omicron. They're calling it Deltacron. So there's no end in sight. We are going to have something to be focused on. But what I'm trying to get us to do is to increase our frequency, so we're not worried about what they're talking about down here. We're just worried about how we are going to help the millions of people on this planet that need help, and how we're going to do it as a team. And we're not going to be brought down by the people of lower frequency and the toxicity of that world. And there will always be solutions. That's what I'm excited about. There's no fear. There's only solutions. So with that, if you have any questions for me, and if you're new to my Zooms on Monday, you're all welcome to join anytime. They're free. You're also welcome to join the Telegram group chat for continuing education for Accelerated Health Products. I do my monthly group cleanse, the Ascent Diet Cleanse that Heather and I put together, and all that learning coincides with the patches, because I'm all about synergy, and it's kind of like math class. It's not addition. we're talking about multiplication. We're not even just talking about multiplication. We're talking about exponential multiplication when you put patches and diet and supplement into what's going on here with all of you that are doing all that we talk about. So you're all welcome to join at any time, and you can email me directly through the website if you have any questions about your personal health issues and what a right protocol is for you. So thank you everybody for joining. And Heather, thank you. Sorry we had some technological difficulties, but we got a lot of your amazing knowledge. And I appreciate always seeing you in person and on Zoom. So thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.